Let's talk about how one of my amazing clients signed 5 immediate clients after a new launch, after being burnt out for close to a year. This is something that is always worth celebrating because I know that a lot of business owners get into this funk wondering, should I quit my business? Should I keep continuing? And just feeling very exhausted. You ended the day exhausted. Meanwhile, you don't feel that productivity. You don't feel that spark. You've lost it. And you just feel very disconnected and you procrastinate, turn things around. Your income goes into this roller coaster and have that constant anxiety and depressive symptoms ping-ponging during your days. These are signs of burnout, and this is fairly common, unfortunately, in business owners. And what some people think is that it takes a long time to shift, but not if you do the right things. And I'll share with you exactly what the biggest shift was for him, so you can attempt to do it yourself as well. And after the shift, he was able to get the 5 new clients because he was able to show up again, put himself out there, launch, sell confidently, and find his inner confidence again. And this big, big, big shift, it's very small, but very, very powerful, was that we were able to reignite his passion to help people again. That was it. Sometimes when we get into those burnout moments in our business, that happens frequently, common, but really shouldn't be as common. Usually what happens is that something happens, right? Either in our life, our relationships, in our business, in our health, that has resulted in us feeling that burning out. Because it's not really separate. What we do in our health and our personal life definitely affects how we show up in our business. And so for him, a lot of things have happened. And when he was able to regulate his nervous system and be able to, down regulate from that anxiety and find more ease and tap into that parasympathetic nervous system mode that helps us feel creative, that motivates us to take action, then he was able to launch despite whatever was going on, despite, maybe feeling unsure, he kept on going because of this one thing. And also, most importantly, his passion to help people again was reignited. A lot of us started our business because we truly want to help people, right? I would argue that's the reason why we started our business. And sometimes when life is lifing and things happen to us, maybe to our health or our relationships, maybe your children, then it can really decrease our confidence. It can make us feel very emotionally vulnerable and erratic. And when we don't have control over that, it definitely affects our ability to put ourselves out there. It affects our ability to want to sell our product. We feel that imposter feeling. And so when he was able to tap into that desire to help people again after giving him the right tools, inside my Rich and Regulated program, then that was the biggest thing. And, we need to talk about this because I feel that there's a lot of shame when we talk about this as business owners, when we just feel very disconnected. And even though some of us will have clients and we still love serving them, the feeling of growing our business just seems so unachievable and insurmountable. And so this is actually very, very common. And again, those are signs of a dysregulated nervous system. When you are in that phase, you are not the one making decisions. It's the survival-based version of you. And so what I teach my 3,000 plus and growing nervous system students and clients is really how to bring yourself back into the parasympathetic nervous system state. When you're dysregulated, the resources of your body are going to be prioritized in specific areas. And so the biggest organs for that are the brain, heart, and lungs, because those are our major organs, very important for living. So all the other organs are not as important. And depending on which survival state you're in, it also goes into the muscles and or it gets very inhibited. It's like we have a dimmer switch and it's all the way down. It really just depends on what survival state we're in. But in a nutshell, when we're in any of the survival modes, our critical thinking process. So this part, the front part of our brain, which is very important and needed in business for problem solving, decision making, executive function, those brain areas are not going to be lit up properly. So kind of think about it as like a dimmer switch, right? Like the dimmer switch is at the bottom instead of it being the top. That's why things feel very hard because the dimmer switch is down, and just imagine being in a room that is barely lit. You're trying to navigate, but you can't see. That's what happens when you're in survival mode. That's why it feels harder. That's why you feel burnt out. Literally, the light is lower. And so when you learn how to regulate your system and when you find that missing piece again that helps you remember why you're doing it in the first place, then you can start having those executive processes turned on again, which then will lead you to take more action. You'll be open to more opportunities, more abundance. So that feeling of being blocked, that abundance blocks that you've been helping yourself to shift and believe, those will just leave naturally. And that's why it's so important and absolutely foundational for all entrepreneurs to actually use nerve system, especially knowing the survival states, knowing when you're in it. You don't know what to do if you are not in it, right? If you don't know what it feels like to be in it. And so that's what I teach inside my courses. And I taught this particular client to really notice when his body is in survival state and to use the practices to get him out of that so that the right parts of his brain turns on. And when the right parts of your brain are on, then you'll just know what to do. Like, because you already know what to do, right? It's not like you lack knowledge. You've already invested in a lot of things. You've done it before, so you do know what to do. It just feels very heavy because the dimmer light is low and you can't see when it's fucking dark, right? And so for you, what is that one big thing? What is the biggest reason why you started your own business? You really need to be honest with yourself and find that answer for yourself, right? Was it the same as before? Has it shifted? Has it changed? Has it been the same? You really need to be honest with yourself. And so, because that is the first step. When you know the exact reason why you're doing your business, this can create that next momentum for you. And the second step after that is, of course, knowing how to regulate your system. And when you have that spark, I call the why, right? This is what people call their why, their reason, their intrinsic motivation for why they're doing what they're doing. The next step after that is regulating your nervous system. And my proprietary nervous system method was what we used for this particular client and many of my clients. I literally have had clients who have had a famine for 8 or so months or even more. And then after using the practices and working together, book 3 immediate discovery calls and close one immediately after almost a year of extreme drought. And so this is how powerful it is, especially because you are turning on your higher functioning self and you're going to operate from the version of you who is here to make that impact, who is big, bold, who is abundant, who has really good health and wealth and very connected in their relationships. And people who take action are the ones who get results. So, what was your reason for starting your business to begin with? Share it below, be accountable, and you will never know. This might be the spark that turns your business into dry to abundance.